Is up, everyone? Cold Case Project back again today. We are going to discuss a very popular case that took place in my neck of the woods. I was only 2 years old. We're going all the way back to 1982. This is the Chicago Tylenol murders. Now, as many of you have probably known over the years, you buy medication, you're going through your wrap on top, you're going through your usually a little cotton ball or something like that underneath it, and you have a very protected area holding whatever vitamins or whatever you're looking to get out of that little bottle, what you're looking to get. Now, go all the way back, like I said, before I was even born. I can say a lot of people were just getting an open bottle with your medicine. Okay. Now, all that said, this brings us to the Chicago Tylenol murders and what really changed the game with how things were done, not just in the state of Illinois, but all around, for how this type of medicine was given to the people. Okay. So please, if you enjoy the content I share on my channel, do me a favor. All right. Throw me a comment. And let me know what you think. You might hate me. You might like me. Whichever one it is, I don't care. But let me know. I'd like to hear it. Okay. In addition, give me a like. Okay. Give me a like or even a dislike if you don't like what I'm saying whatsoever. Okay. This is going to help me out a lot with Google's algorithm to let them know people are watching the videos I'm putting out. And please try to subscribe as I am putting stuff out each and every day, from cold cases in Illinois, which I do cover a lot of, as well as additional cases from missing persons cases I try to get to every other day, and additional cold cases. So with all that said, let's jump into this case now. Okay. Now, the Chicago Tylenol murders were a series of poisoning deaths resulting in drug tampering in the Chicago area in 1982. The victims had all took Tylenol branded acetaminophen capsules that had been laced with potassium cyanide. A total of 7 people died in original poisoning deaths, and several, but more deaths were also copycats. Now, no suspect has ever been charged or convicted in these poisonings. New York resident James William Lewis was convicted of extortion for sending a letter to Johnson & Johnson that took responsibility for the deaths and demanded $1 million to stop them. But evidence tying him to the actual poisoning never really came about. Now, the incidents led to reforms in packaging of over-the-counter substances and to federal tampering laws. The action of Johnson & Johnson to reduce deaths and warn the public of poisoning risks that had been widely praised as public relations response to this crisis. All right. So we're going all the way back in time, back to 1982. So all that said, the first incident started on September the 29th of 1982 when 12-year-old Mary Kellerman of Elk Grove Village, Illinois, died. She took extra-strength Tylenol. Right after that, Adam Janis, who was 27, from my hometown of Arlington Heights, Illinois, died in the hospital later that day from ingesting Tylenol. His brother Stanley, who was 25, and his sister-in-law, Teresa, both lived in Lisle, Illinois, later also died from taking Tylenol from the same bottle. Within the next few days, Mary McFarland of Elmhurst, Illinois, and Paula Prince of Chicago, and Mary Reiner of Winfield, Illinois, all died from similar instances. Once it was realized that all these people took Tylenol, tests were quickly carried out, which soon revealed that cyanide was present in all the capsules. Warnings were issued via the media and patrols from loudspeakers that drove throughout all the Chicagoland areas. Like, they actually had loudspeakers and were saying on blocks, do not take, if you have Tylenol, do not take it. All right. Now, they warned residents all throughout the Chicago metropolitan area to stop using Tylenol and related Tylenol products. Police, knowing that various sources of Tylenol were tampered with, ruled out manufacturers as the tampered with bottles came from different pharmaceutical companies. And the 7 deaths had all occurred in the Chicagoland area. So sabotage during production was ruled out. Instead, police concluded they were likely looking for a culprit who they believed had acquired bottles of Tylenol from various retail outlets. Furthermore, they concluded that the source was most likely supermarkets and drugstores. Over a period of several weeks, with the culprit likely adding cyanide to the capsules, then methodically returning them to stores to place the bottles back on the shelves. In addition to the 5 bottles that led to the victims' deaths, a few other contaminated bottles were later discovered in the Chicagoland area. In a concentrated effort to reassure the public, Johnson & Johnson distributed warnings to hospitals and distributors and halted Tylenol products advertising. On October the 5th of 1982, it issued a nationwide recall of all Tylenol products. An estimated 31 million bottles were in circulation with a retail value of $100 million. Now, going to what that would be today, we're looking at about $265 million. Okay. The company also advertised nationwide for individuals not to consume any of its products that contain acetaminophen after it was determined that only these capsules had been tampered with. Johnson & Johnson also offered in exchange for all Tylenol capsules already purchased by the public for solid capsules. Now, we look at the investigation, and a few people have come up for potential suspects for the Tylenol murders. One popular one, probably the most noteworthy name, would be Ted Kaczynski, also known as the Unabomber. Now, Ted Kaczynski lived in Evanston, Illinois. Now, being a resident, I know that Evanston is, and where he lived, was roughly about a half-hour drive from where most of these cities where the Tylenol was distributed away from. Okay. He also, we look at what he did, we look at his crimes, and then you also think to yourself, this person did this. Ted Kaczynski could have driven about 45 minutes along an expressway. He had an expressway right next, really close to where he lived. So he could have took an expressway and within 45 minutes dropped a bottle off at any of the outlets within the part of Illinois where people were ingesting these bottles. Now, in addition to this too, during the first investigations, a man named James William Lewis started a letter to Johnson & Johnson demanding $1 million to stop cyanide-induced murders. Identified via fingerprints in the envelope used, police were unable to link him to the crimes, as he and his wife were living in New York at the time of the incident. He was, however, convicted of extortion and later served 13 years of a 20-year sentence and paroled in 1995. Channel 5 of Boston reported that court documents released in 2009 show the Department of Justice investigators concluded Lewis was responsible for the poisonings, despite the fact that they do not have any evidence to charge him. In January of 2010, both Lewis and his wife submitted DNA samples and fingerprints to authorities. Lewis stated that if the FBI plays it fair, I have nothing to worry about. Lewis continues to deny any responsibility in the Tylenol murders. A second man, Roger Arnold, was identified and investigated and cleared of the killings. He had a nervous breakdown due to the media attention, which he blamed on Marty Sinclair, a bar owner, in the summer of 1983. Arnold shot and killed John Stanisha, an unrelated man whom he mistook for Sinclair and did not know Arnold. Arnold was convicted in January of 1984 and served 15 years of 30-year second-degree murder sentence. He died in 2008. Now, there was also a lady by the name of Lori Dan. Now, for those of you who are in the Midwest, you may have heard of Lori Dan, who went into an elementary school and shot up a bunch of kids and murdered, I believe, one or two of them. She had poisoned people in May of 1988 when she went on her rampage around the Winnetka, Illinois area, and was briefly considered a suspect, but there's been no evidence to link her to this case. So that said, this is still an ongoing investigation. Okay. In early 1983, the FBI's request, Chicago Tribune columnist Bob Greene published the address and grave location of the first and youngest victim, Mary Kellerman. The story, written with Mary Kellerman's family consent, was proposed by the FBI criminal analyst John Douglas on a theory that the perpetrator might visit the house or gravesite if he were able to, if he was aware of the locations. Both sites were kept under 24-hour surveillance for several months, but no killer ever surfaced. A surveillance photo of Paula Prince purchasing cyanide tampered Tylenol in Walgreens in 1601 North Wells Street was released by the Chicago Police Department. Police believed that a bearded man seen just feet behind Prince may be the killer. Early January of 2009, Illinois authorities renewed the investigation. Federal agents searched the home of Lewis in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and seized a number of items. In Chicago, Illinois, an FBI spokesperson declined to comment, but said, "We'll have something to release later, possibly." Law enforcement officials have received a number of tips related to the case, coinciding with its anniversary. In a written statement, the FBI explained the review was prompted in part by the recent 25-year anniversary of the crime and resulting in publicity. Further, given the many recent advances in forensic technology, it was only natural that a second look be taken at the case and recovered evidence. Now, with all that said, there were a few copycats. Now, we're looking at. Apologize for that. My neighbors are partying like it's a summer night right now. So, with all that said, let's dive right back in. So, the aftermath of this case brought up along a bunch of copycats. Now, with Tylenol and other over-the-counter medications, other products also took place using the United States immediately following the Chicago deaths. Now, 3 deaths occurred in 1986 with tampered gelatin capsules. A woman died in Yonkers, New York after ingesting extra-strength Tylenol capsules laced with cyanide. Excedrin capsules in Washington state were also tampered with, resulting in the deaths of Susan Snow and Bruce Nickel from cyanide poisoning, and the eventual arrest and conviction of Nickel's wife, Stella, for her intentional actions in the crimes connected to both murders. That same year, Procter & Gamble and Saprin was recalled since a spiking hoax in Chicago and Detroit resulted in a sales drop and withdrawal of the pain reliever from the market completely. In 1986, a University of Texas student, Kenny Ferries, was found dead in his apartment after succumbing to cyanide poisoning. Tampered anasin capsules were determined to be the source of the cyanide found in his body. His death was ruled a homicide on May the 30th of 1986. On June the 19th, 1986, the AP reported that Travis County medical examiner ruled his death likely as suicide. The FDA determined he obtained the poison from a lab in which he worked. Now, you'll see the Johnson & Johnson response. They received positive coverage for its handling of the crisis. For example, an article in the Washington Post said Johnson & Johnson they had effectively demonstrated how a major business ought to handle a disaster. The article further stated this is no 3-mile accident in which the company's response did more damage than the original incident, and applauded the company for being honest to the public. In addition to issuing the recall, In addition to issuing the recall, the company established relations with the Chicago Police Department, the FBI, and the FDA. This way, it could have a part searching for the person who laced the capsules, and they could help prevent further tampering. While at the time of the scares, the company's market share collapsed by 35% to 8%. It rebounded less than a year later, a move credited to the company's prompt and aggressive reaction. In November, it reintroduced capsules, but in a new triple seal package, coupled with heavy price promotions. And within several years, Tylenol had regained the highest market share for over-the-counter medicine in the United States. Scott Bartz, a pharmaceutical industry insider, wrote a book in 2011 that called the Tylenol Mafia, making the case that contamination somewhere in the repackaging process in the distribution chain that was not investigated by the police. The text also provides motivation for Johnson & Johnson to cover up the matter. Now, this, as I said earlier in this video, also brought along pharmaceutical changes. The 1982 incident inspired the pharmaceutical and food and consumer product industries to develop tamper-resistant packaging, such as induction seals and improved quality control methods. Moreover, product tampering was made a federal crime. The new laws resulted in Stella Nichols' conviction of the Excedrin tampering case, for which she was sentenced 90 years in prison. Additionally, the incident prompted the pharmaceutical industry to move away from capsules, which was easy to contaminate as a foreign substance could be placed inside without obvious signs of tampering. Within the year, the FDA introduced more stringent regulations to avoid product tampering. This led to eventual replacement of the capsule with the solid caplet, a tablet that was the shape of the capsule as a drug delivery form, and with the addition of tamper evident safety seals to bottles of many sorts. Now, with all this said, this case still remains cold. Okay. There have been no additional information has really come out since this time period. I believe there was another person who I believe lived in Hanover Park, which is a city that is about 20 minutes from Lisle and Naperville, and about a 40-minute drive probably from Arlington Heights. And this guy was also questioned as to whether or not he had anything to do with the tampering of these capsules. To this day, however, his name has never really been let out, and like the other suspects, they haven't found real evidence as to whom, at some point in 1982, took these capsules, took them back home, and put them back on the shelves. Now, how long will this case remain cold? I mean, possibly, unless we have any DNA evidence or fingerprints we can link from one of these bottles to the perpetrator. This case may never be solved. This case that just for a matter of days really took the nation by storm. Now, I hope you enjoy the content I share on this channel one more time. I try to get the best possible stuff I can give to you. As I say to you right now, we have changes in the way we receive our medicine. We have changes. As I said, what you got in a bottle in 1982 is totally different from what you're going to get in a bottle in 2021. And if it's not, then that's definitely not a medicine you need to be purchasing. Okay. You need to have that truth and the faith in the company you're purchasing from, that what you're getting is legit what you're looking for. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. Cold Case Project, we're out. Back again with another video tomorrow. So take care, and I'll talk to you soon.